Rejoice, ladies and gentlemen, we get a new base spot and a new base design, and this is the best spot yet that I have found. Not only can you grow crops in ample sunlight, and your purifications will be the easiest you'll ever have had. No, you're also making polluted water and deviated energy, while at the same time being able to simply get dirty water only instead of a mix of polluted and dirty water on top to fuel your irrigation and just have the purified water source for your barrels. Why will the purification be easier than ever? Let me put a level 1 in to essentially show you instead of just telling you. Start to purify, and due to my base design, the enemies are spawning on that side. Let's zoom out a little bit, because this is the last piece of land I'm touching. Technically, they could also spawn on this little tiny island over there or on this side. But what happens is that enemies are coming exactly here and they're stuck. And well, as you can see, they land over on the river. And then they try to get into my base, which is impossible because, well, they can't cross over to the water. There's the next spawn of enemies. And as we have a 360-degree surround sound super blaster tower setup, we don't even have to do anything because the range is exactly there to just completely take them out. Though if you do feel like it, just whip out your pistol, sniper rifle, whatever you want, and essentially take your shots at Jimothy, Jeremiah, Dave, and Timothy. And that's essentially your purification. At some point, enemies will exactly spawn here, and you gotta just make sure that they don't start shooting you with their ranged attacks, because obviously the ranged attacks is the most annoying one. But that is it. That's your purification, no matter what level. Higher levels will get a few more flyers, so you'll actually have to put your pistol into action. But others, like the landbound people, they cannot come over to you and they'll just be taken out like there's no tomorrow. Now, there's 3 problems with this base spawn. Problem number 1, you need to make it exactly into the middle of the river to have this efficiently work out with the purification. As you can see, they're going to be having to fight their purification a lot, them too, and there as well. But they're also missing one thing, and that is the 50-50, or more or less the 70-30. Look at my backpack. There's no contamination going on. We're not being polluted in any way. But if I now head over to the other side of my territory, where currently my generators and my pumps are, suddenly we are actually moving into an area of pollution. Stardust pollution is getting worse. Now, this is only a 1, but I could also move this a few meters out. The thing is that the pollution is actually slightly bigger than it indicates. So that's a 1 here, and my generators actually work despite not necessarily being 100% in. And these things are also not technically in the pollution, but they're still making, and exactly here, 1, polluted water. Yep. So these pumps are making polluted water up there for my acid farm, while my pump back there is only making dirty water that I can essentially have my irrigation go on, that I can have this pumped out for the purified water to essentially fuel my brewing barrels. Very easy. And in order for this to work, your pumps need to be actually in the water. Because if this pump would be now on land, no matter where, is it here outside the pollution on land, or is it all the way left inside the pollution on land, it will always pull up polluted and dirty water, which will in the long run kind of clog up your purifier and be a little bit weird, as you only want more or less polluted water in there. And that's why we have it like this 50-50 split happening. Now there are a few more spots like this down the river where you essentially have pollution going on and no pollution going on. And the whole area is actually the Evergreen, right below the Blackfell City in the Red Sands area. This is the Evergreen town, the first one you more or less enter when you go into Red Sands, and then on the right side in the river. I am not sure on novice servers how big your pollution is here to actually put a house in this. And since we needed to be in the middle of the river, we opted in for a 4x4. So this is 4 tiles and 4 tiles wide tower design that essentially has all the crafting stations on the bottom a shooting platform in the middle, which leads then to a deviation center on the 3rd level with a teleporter that gets me over to the sign that I can essentially from here check on my water pumps and teleport back in and out of the base. This is still a remnant from the old base, but there's tons of polluted water and dirty water in there. Can't do that, can't put it out. Then you get your purification array with your brewing barrels, purifier, and your garage, together with even more purifier and your fields all the way up top. And yes, it's actually raining quite a lot in this area, so you could get even more dirty water with a rainwater collection if you then feel like it. Now, these 2 tiny pumps are needed to actually get the water up from below here into the water tanks and the purifiers. So don't forget to actually build your tiny water pumps and have, you know, the pipes from the bottom to the top. Like this one, right? Needs to go bottom to top. Now, this ain't even the perfect location for the actual base, because I could move it a wee bit more to the left so I can put a mining platform there on the side. Because right now to the right side, so towards the stronghold, you'll have the problem that when you're trying to build some things, it sometimes says can't build here because we're too close to stronghold. So you can only actually build there on land, right? Because otherwise you're too close to the stronghold. And you could, for example, build here, which is not too close to the stronghold. So if you do actually build a bit more in the direction of this side, you could actually put something on the land here. Now, do keep in mind, though, that you don't want to move closer than this, because this is where monsters can't move anymore. This is where they're stuck in the water. But you notice, like, I could have moved my base quite significantly over and then still be in the polluted area that begins over here. There is, say, like, this is where the stardust pollution gets worse, and that's where we could have had like more room to actually move the base still to the right if you're trying to go for this location. Is there something equivalent to this, a 50-50 area? If you're actually going further into the delta, it gets harder and harder to find these spots where you can actually build right in the middle. Because as you can see, like right now, the pollution here is high, correct? So we got to move our way to the side where the pollution essentially would be getting less. Because again, we need to get this 50-50 kind of area-ish. And since this is a hard server, the pollution area is quite big. But as soon as you find something in this direction, see, that's a 1 pollution. If these lads here actually decided to build their base in the middle of the river, right? Instead of there on the side or there on the side, they could have the same, because that's 26 pollution here, but it gets lower and lower. Boom, that's no pollution anymore. At the end of the delta, there is another spawn right around here. And I would reckon that on the left side is actually nothing similar, because you're kind of running out of pollution, right? I'm here on the left side. There's no pollution there. We could move closer to this area, and you might see that some people actually build right here in the middle, correct? As the pollution starts getting worse. So technically, if it is possible to actually move your base this close to the stronghold, you could build a tiny 3x3 instead of 2x2 tower. Keep in mind, though, if you start the purification, they essentially start like relatively close left and right of you of the cliffs and throw things down. It could get annoying. The other 2 spots are just vastly better. And now, before you start asking for fuel and oil, where's your fuel and oil, Ponyhof? Why don't you farm fuel? This is over 1,300 barrel premium fuel. And the way how I've gotten this many is by not farming a single second of fuel. I've been doing the Prime Wars on my hard mode server, and quite some of them, as every single time they come up, you can just farm them like crazy. And even though I've been making tons of rocket, and I'm actually planning to make tons of red plasma rounds for the Manibus as well, I have more than enough of this barrel premium fuel going on. And lastly, there's the option to do the Blackfell oil fields. There was absolutely no reason for me to farm fuel unless you do have the mimetic specializations in the direction of fuel. But let's be real, if you do have these mimetic specializations in the direction of fuel, you're not going to be actually farming acid. You're obviously going to go into a fuel area. But since I don't have any of these specializations, being able to put my base in the middle and do a tier 3 40 Cortex purification without a single hassle solo dolo while my base is absolutely untouched and I'm just having a goddamn fun time as a solo player, while still having enough barrel premium fuel as a solo player because I'm playing, well, that feels plenty good. Ladies and gentlemen, where's your base? And do you like this new tower-esque base design? And if you're now looking for the one build that can do it all PvP, PvE wise, here's the video, and it's actually incredible with a little tip that you might want to consider dropping the Fateful Strikes, here single information, and replace it through Momentum Up. Give it a go and tell me how it works for you. Also, have a great day. Thanks for watching.